Welcome back to the No Fun channel. I'm Felix, and I did make a few notes this time for my podcast. But again, I have full conversations in my head and then forget to make notes. I try to make quick notations. One thing I wanted to talk about was the Met Gala. Ooh, sorry about that. I was going to say the Met Gala. No, I didn't know the theme of it, and it's supposed to be Black Excellence. And they were talking about a lot of people missed the theme, and I was like, how'd they miss the theme? Because the ones they were talking about were dressed nice. And I was just like, how'd they miss the theme? I mean, Black Excellence, that can be taken many ways. But I also noticed that most of the people who complained about it were non-Black people. So it was like, take that with a grain of salt. Then that Bollywood actor, I'm not going to pretend to say his name, but he's never been invited to the Met Gala, and Black people took it upon themselves to invite him. And I don't know if he said anything, but his fans are rabid. It's like they expected the Black people to get down and kiss his feet. It's like, what is wrong with you? We're not doing that to no one. And it's just like, get over yourselves with that. And I love the fact that there are people who like Bollywood that are from over there as well, are getting on those people who are getting mad over that whole mess. And they're like, you do realize he's never been invited, and Black people decide to invite him, and this is the thanks they get. And it's like, yep, fact. Black people have a habit of inviting people, in my opinion, who they shouldn't invite. Like right now, there's a whole Redheads are black now thing going on. And it's a nice little thing because I've seen both sides, unfortunately. I've seen the good side and I've seen the bad side because, not all skin folk are kinfolk. But there are some genuine, happily moved redheads who are just like happy to be part of a community. And I find that very interesting because some of them were like literally brought to tears. Like they were happy. And they're like, yay. And it was just like, oh, that's very wholesome and stuff. But then you had the ones who just had to ruin it. And it's like, just like Black people, not a monolith. So we just ignore the ignorant ones and move on. But I will admit, there were a few jokes that I did chuckle at. And there was a few jokes that I've made myself. But so for some reason, when a certain person made them, it was just like, the way it came off, it wasn't executed well. And I'll tell you the joke. Like every now and again, I'll mess with my kids. And I'll tell them I'm going out for milk. I'll be right back. Just like that. It's just, they know I'm coming back. But the way this person executed it, and then I think they did have a history of stuff. So it's like, doesn't go over very well when you have a history. But also, I've seen the flip side to that where a lot of biracial kids, a lot of biracial people are pissed that, oh, you can accept these redheads, but you couldn't accept me. And I was thinking about that. And now, if you look at me, probably your first thought is I'm biracial. I'm actually not. I'm what you call a recessive gene. My mom's black, my dad's black. It goes back a couple generations. I think my grandmother was half on my mom's side. And then there was like a black side and a white side. And then, my grandma married a black man and then had my mom and then my mom had me. So, yeah, I'm not mixed. I'm just a recessive gene. So there's that. But I experienced that as well to where people would, it's because of the freckles. They like, you got freckles. And even now, like, I'll see little kids staring at me. Yeah. I was like, I can kick you now. But what's funny is, it got to a point where I was just like, I just didn't talk to people. It's like, F you people. And I moved on. And when I graduated high school and left, things changed. It was like night and day. That's when I realized it wasn't that Black people or the community was rejecting me. It was these ignorant a-holes. And when I left, it was so much better. Now I can't say it was all black people, but there was a few here and there. It was like, just stop being ignorant a-holes. And it was primarily guys. Every now and again, girls be like, ew. It's like, what the hell? Get over yourself. And just going from there. Because as I got older, even in high school, I would see like the ugly guy getting a girl. And they were getting a girl because they were social and they were going out and stuff like that. And, and they'd walk around with their shirt off and they were just skinny. They didn't have any muscle tone. It was like, oh, and that's when I started piecing together. And then also I noticed like you see the fat guy who's out of shape and you're just like, how's he? And that's when I realized having game is a real thing. Oh, and I'm sick again, but I know why I'm sick. But anyways, back to the biracial stuff. So my thing is with a lot of these biracial people, are you still in the same area? That would be my question for them. If you're still in the same area, that could be why you still experience the same thing. Because most likely those people who picked on you never grew up. But I guarantee for a lot of you, if you moved away to an area that was better, because like I ended up going to Ohio of all places, and it was not a problem. I was meeting girls left and right, black, white, it didn't matter. And it was just, and I also came to this conclusion also that it was where I lived. Because when I would go on school trips, girls would actually hit on me. I'm not joking. Like I would have girls talk to me. I was like, I didn't know what the hell to do. And I was just like, hey, how's it going? It's like, and I just try to talk to them. And then, one of the stories I love to tell is like that gave me an ego boost that helped me realize it really is where I live. Is I was on a school trip and there was these two girls in front of me giggling. And I thought, they're making fun of me. And I stepped off the elevator. And as I stepped off the elevator, I heard him go, oh my God, he was so cute. And I turned around, the door was shut, like, son of a bitch. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, those two girls thought I was cute. I could have been having a threesome in high school. But yeah, it was just like that. Things like that is suddenly dawned on me, like, it's where I live. And then what's funny is after I left and came back, actually, even before I left, I take that back, probably about a year or two after high school, that some of the girls I went to school with kind of looked at me differently. It's like, okay. It's like, I remember you from high school. So, but, yeah, it's like, I am not the same person. And so when I left, I was just meeting girls left and right. So, and that's like, even with, like I once met a girl by telling her she had nice breasts and it worked. So I'm going to say it has something to do with my looks as well as, just going for it. But that's why I wonder about some of these biracial people. Are you still in the same area where these people were not accepting you? Maybe it's time to move to a different area. But back to the Met Gala, you see, that's all together. To me, that's all together because dealing with black people. But yeah, it's just like, there was no reason for what they were saying or what they were doing. It was just like, this is weird, and the Met Gala, I'm not a big Met Gala guy anyways. Half time when it comes around, I didn't realize it came around. But the fact that it was Black Excellence and he got invited and his fans were rabid, it's just like, yeah, let's not ever do that again. Don't ever invite that guy again if his fans are going to be like that. He doesn't need to be invited. And then it also came along with America bashing. Let's bash America, which, let's be honest, it's easy to do. And right now we kind of deserve it. But it came down to, this gave Robbie Williams flashback to where people are like, you don't know who Robbie Williams is? I was like, I kind of knew who he was. I remembered him from the 90s. But he just didn't sell in the U.S. His music just doesn't work in the U.S. And the same with Bollywood. A lot of Bollywood stuff doesn't work in the U.S. It just doesn't translate well. It's not any fault of theirs. It's just, it doesn't translate well to American audience. And there's not much you can do about it. Unless you want to change how Bollywood works, change it to meet American standards, then you're probably going to lose a lot of fans as well. Especially if you're if you're world renowned and America's the only audience you're not getting, let it go. But if you're desperate to get that American audience, then yeah, you're gonna have to change. You're gonna have to change to the American audience in order to get what you want. But otherwise, I say let it go. But speaking of Americans, there was the challenge of 100 Americans versus 100 Brits. And even British people are saying the Brits would lose. But it's funny how the Brits are trying to defend their stuff, saying, well, we got this, we got this, we got this. People are like, we got Waffle House employees. We got Florida man, Florida woman. We got New York. We got Detroit. We got Ohio. We got something. It's like, you're not winning. And I was just like, yeah, you're not winning this. There's so many diverse people. And here's the thing. I think what the problem is, the UK is thinking fat Americans, fat redneck Americans. But even then, a lot of those fat redneck Americans can fight. So, yeah, don't count them out. And then, but that aside, we have a weird dynamic when it comes to our health. We're like the unhealthiest country, but sometimes the healthiest country. So we got a weird mix of both. So are you just looking at the unhealthy people? Because we got 100 plus healthy people too. We got a lot of people who can fight, who are healthy, who can go for hours fighting. So either way, we got a mix. And you know, if people are talking, well, we'll just send them a couple of crackheads, and because crackheads will be moving, bobbing and weaving, you can't catch them, and they'll wear you out. And so there's that. And yeah, they're not winning that. They're losing. And I just thought it was so funny how they kept trying to justify it, how they would win. But what was even funnier is watching British people going, yeah, we're not winning that. Because one British person, he was like, I've been in America for a couple months, and I can tell you now, depending on the temperature, we're losing. Because he's like, America has extreme heat and extreme colds. And we do. It can go from the hottest to the coldest, you know, in the same year. And in British people, I always hear complain about it being too cold or being too hot. And when I hear what the temperature is, I'm just like, yeah, you're not surviving. And there was, I can't remember how long ago it was. There was a tourist, a bunch of British people came over here and were passing out from the heat. They couldn't take the heat. Oh man, I need to find that. If I find that, I'll post it, see if I can find it. But that was that in the 90s? Because I remember that, like, a tourist group came over here and passed out. They couldn't take the heat. So yeah, we're not worried. Anywhere it takes, we'll be ready for you. So yeah, you're not winning that. And then there was the 100 men versus one gorilla. Now, 100 men versus one gorilla, I can tell you now, the gorilla could go through all 100 men. Because the problem is, you're assuming all 100 men are going to be fit, in shape, and able to last, you know, and fight a gorilla. But what you're not taking into account is which 100 men. Because it depends. If you get 100 men like me, we're losing. We're hands down losing. I might get a couple swings in. Actually, we might win, but more than half of us will probably be dead. Because some of us would go from the behind and grab it, and some of us would, 2 or 3 of us would grab it from the bottom of his jaw, like grab the jaw, and 3 of us grab the top of the jaw and try to split its head open, kick it in the groin, things like that. I don't know how effective it would be to kick him in the groin, but no, we would do things like that, just go for it. And so it might work. We might be able to beat them. But overall, it depends on the 100 people or 100 men, because it says 100 men. So it depends on the 100 man that you pick. If you pick a bunch of scrawny looking men that are no bigger than my pinky, they're losing. All 100 are dead. But if you pick guys, say around my size, who are more fit and got a lot of stamina, yeah, probably the gorilla might make it almost halfway through most of them, but eventually tire out. Then yeah, you can overpower. You basically be wearing it down. 1-on-1, you're losing. The gorilla's winning. Unless you actually study fighting a gorilla, you're going to lose. But yeah, there's a lot of those stupid things going on. And then there was like man versus dog. Which dog could you take? There are some dogs I think I could overpower, or at least I might lose an arm, but I'm taking them with me, kind of deal, you know. Just make sure they don't get my neck and keep my arm in their mouth or something. I say, fine, take my arm, but I'm pulling your throat out, or I'm gouging your eyes. I'm going to take my thumb and turn you into a bowling ball. I'm holding you right there. My thumb in your eye, and I'm holding you right there. And so I might end up doing something like that. But yeah. But yeah, a lot of those men versus animal stuff is like, I don't really think about it too much because I try to avoid that stuff. And honestly, if I got a weapon, I'm using it against the animal, hands down. I'm using my weapon. But yeah, I just think that's funny, that stuff like that. And, this is something I saw on Shits and Gigs. They were doing like questions and stuff, and like, I don't like my partner. I love my partner, but this girl posted that she's been with her partner for 3 years, and for 3 years she's been faking it. And I just thought right then and there, it's like, one, you're a horrible partner. You're a horrible partner. 3 years faking it, you're horrible. Because if I was the guy and found out you were faking it for 3 years, I'd be like, F you, and leave. I mean, you don't need to fake it. This is why women don't get satisfied. I tell my wife up front, when we were dating stuff, like, I don't know what you like. You got to tell me what you like. And that's how we got to where we are. Now we got 2 kids, been together 20 plus years. If you're not willing to tell your partner what you like, you need to move on. Don't waste 3 years of that person's life. Because that means your communication sucks and you two should not be in a relationship. 3 years, you were faking it for 3 years. Like, no. And I understand you say you love them, but you don't. Because you went online to humiliate them. And if someone finds out who you are, they're going to go to him, man, you can't satisfy a person you've been with for 3 years. And yeah, and to me, that, like I said, that screams you cannot talk to that person. What's the point of being with that person if you can't talk to them? You need to figure out a way to talk to them. And you need to be honest with them. And as much as it's going to hurt their feelings, you need to let them know what's going on. And if they decide to leave you, they deserve better than you. Because you were wrong for doing that. 3 years faking it? Come on. That's messed up. Hopefully that was a lie. But that was so messed up. And it's like, just let that go. That relationship's over. It's time to move on. And you're just a horrible human being as far as I'm concerned. And it's just like, wow, who does that sort of thing? Don't do that to someone. If you're truly not getting along with that person, if things sexually are not working and you don't feel comfortable saying something, it's time to break it off. Like if I was with someone and the sex was that horrible to I can't even climax, I'm going to say something. I'm like, sorry to disappoint, but yeah, I need more from you. Or, if it is like, flying in the Grand Canyon, then yeah, if I'm like humping air, I'm probably going to say something like, you need to do some Kegel exercises or backdoor time. But yeah, if you don't feel comfortable enough saying something, it's time to end the relationship. It's time to say goodbye and move on. But for 3 years, you were faking it. Yeah, I'm calling horrible, horrible human being on you. Don't do that, people. I see this more with women than men. And if the sex isn't good, but you love this person, talk to them. Figure out why it's not good. Maybe they're doing something you don't like and they like, but you're afraid to say anything because then they won't want to be with you. If that's the case, that relationship's over anyways. If that one thing they're doing is contingent on your relationship surviving, you need to call it quits. Your relationship's over. Because you're not happy, actually. Sexually, you're not satisfied. So speak up. Say, hey, I actually don't like it when you do that. Could you not do that? And I got some bad news for the women as well. It's probably your fault he's doing that. Because you fake an orgasm and he thinks, oh, she likes that. I'm going to keep doing that. Don't do that. If it turns out, or let me start over. If they keep doing that same thing, say like they never did it before, but then they start doing it, it's probably because they saw your reaction like, oh, she likes that. I'm going to keep doing that because that satisfies her. And come to find out, if you just talk to the person might be like, oh, thank God, I hated doing that too. Why didn't you say something sooner? It's like, come on, speak up. If you had said something sooner, I would have stopped doing that sooner. I thought you liked it. Stop faking it. Let's find out what you like. You will be surprised how many guys are willing to find out what you like. A chance to be a little creative and explore. You get to find out each other's boundaries. You might find out he's got boundaries that can be pushed. You never know. Maybe he's willing to go a little further with some stuff. And, maybe you have more of a freaky side that you were afraid to share with him. And then you discover, oh, he's into that. And you don't know. You have to talk. Now, if your freaky side is something illegal, yeah, keep that to yourself. Yeah, just keep that to yourself. He's like, don't need to know. But otherwise, like, I've tried some things. I didn't like it, and I didn't do it again. And I tried things on girls or women. Well, see, 20. In 20s, yeah, so women. I guess you call them women. I don't know why that came in my head. But with 20-year-old, 20-something me and 20-something girls, they were willing to experiment. We tried a few things, found out they didn't like it. I didn't like it. We moved on. And yeah, it's just, you don't know until you try. Now, that's not to say you have to try it, but if you're willing to explore, you got to let them know your boundaries, how far you're willing to go. And I just know my voice keeps changing every time I take a deep breath. Like I've heard it go high, I've heard it go low. Right now it sounds low to me. I think my ears are clogged. But yeah, you never know. Just talk to your partner and you'll be like, oh, they want to experiment. This could be fun. And get a chance, maybe buy some toys, get some toys involved. Now, if you have kids, be careful with buying toys. Like if you buy them online, make sure they come in discreet packages. Because, you get an octopus tentacle and your kids are like, Mom, you play with octopus? Oh, God. Or you see your kid with the octopus going, Mommy, this smells funny. So, yeah, you be careful with any toys you buy. But, yeah, you never know. Just talk to your partner. You'd be surprised at what you find out. And then it may come down to that maybe you are looking for someone who's a little more adventurous. And once you find that out, you can either decide to continue the relationship or move on. Maybe it's not necessary for you to always be that adventurous, but if they're willing to do it every now and again and that works for you, hey, you now have a partner who's willing to do that stuff. Oh, I got a little nauseous just now. Let me take a little sip here. I went to the store to buy some Sprite. They didn't have any Sprite. So I got a Gatorade. So hopefully that helps. I'm trying not to chug it. I don't feel good. But I know why I don't feel good. I started trying to increase my potassium. And my wife was concerned about that. I was like, sweetie, I have no potassium. So increasing my potassium is not going to kill me. Because I would have to have potassium in order for it to overdose on it. And my potassium's always low. And I don't mean just on the low end, like low to the point they're yelling at me to go to a hospital. First time I got my potassium tested, they were like, get to the hospital now. They were literally kind of yelling on the phone. They're like, is this Felix? You need to get to the hospital right now. Let us know which one you're going to, and we'll get you everything ready. And I was like, okay. And I tell them, I need to go to the hospital, apparently. And we get there, they're pumping me full of potassium. And my potassium was like pretty much in the negative. It doesn't actually say negative, but just for the sake of the thing here, it was pretty much in the negative. And let's say it was like 0.6. That's how low it was. It went up to 0.8 after 2 rounds of potassium infusion and drinking. I drank potassium, 2 cups of potassium, and they put a line into me of potassium. 0.8. That's not a joke. It only went up 2 points. So I had to get it. They had to keep doing other things, but that's when I started taking the potassium pills. The potassium pills got it up, but it wouldn't stay up. If I skipped one day of taking potassiums, it bottomed out again. So that's why I've been trying to get to a specialist to figure out what the hell's going on. But yeah, that's what I was telling them, like, yeah, I would have to have, because when I was taking 3 potassium, the doctor told me to take, actually he told me to take 2.5, and I ended up taking 3. And I said, I was taking 3, and it only went up to the bottom end of good potassium. I mean, literally just barely over the line for good potassium. good potassium level. It was low, but it was considered on the low end good. So like say like, again, I can't remember scale, but say like 1 is average is good, or 1 is low end, and say it's a scale of 1 to 10, 5 is average, 1 is low end. I was a 1 basically. And it was just like, there's no potassium in my system. And then she gave me this one pill to put the whole potassium in my body, and it took it up to a 3. She's like, okay. So I was like, I'm going to take more potassium and see what happens. And I'm not going to do it for long. But since I started taking more potassium, I actually feel better. But that's also why I think I'm going to the bathroom more, because it's flushing me out. Now, I am taking diet pills as well. I know I'm risking it all. But the diet pills, I'm not taking on a regular basis. So I can't say those are what's making me run to the bathroom, because I'll go a few days without taking those, because it's like I don't know, I just go a few days without taking them. There's something I was going to say and I drew a blank. But like I didn't take them for a couple days just to see, and I was still going to the bathroom. That's when I realized it was the potassium. My potassium, I kind of feel like the potassium is adjusting my body, and it's flushing out all the stuff that shouldn't be in there. And, from the start off, said my potassium and my weight go hand in hand. So it's almost like it's pushing the fat out of me. And I'm not arguing, because I've already gone down 5 pounds. So it's like, I'm going to keep at it. I feel, for the most part, I do feel better. But today, though, was a bad day. Because I took the pills, because they do give me a burst of energy. But I think a combination of the diet pills and the potassium really made me go to the bathroom, because the caffeine in the diet pills and the potassium working together was like, yeah, you're never leaving this bathroom again. Like, I literally got done using the bathroom, washed my hands, and had to sit back down. It was like, oh dear God. And I did that 3 times. Like, first time I got off, no, 4 really, because I got off work, went to the bathroom, changed my clothes, went to the bathroom, washed my hands, had to sit back down, changed out of my workout clothes, said I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going to be able to go to the gym. I'm going to everywhere if I go to the gym and try to do squats and stuff. And then changed my clothes, went to the bathroom. And then then all of a sudden I was starving. And I mean starving. And I had to eat. I told my wife, I can't wait for you to get home. I got to eat. And I ate. And then all of a sudden, after I ate, I got nauseous. And it's like, I need something to settle my stomach. So that's why I ran out to go get some Sprite. They didn't have Sprite. I got 3 Gatorades. I'm not trying to drink all 3 Gatorades. But I got 3 because it was like 3 for $1 or something like that. And it was some kind of weird sell. But I ended up buying like warm Sprites and threw those in the refrigerator. I might grab one later. But yeah. So your body everything's connected in your body. And if one thing's out of whack, you can throw everything else out of whack. And I do feel like I have more energy to do stuff. And I'm trying to do stuff. So I am going to try to go to the gym tomorrow. And I'm not taking it about that blah, 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 blah. My brain's moving faster than my mouth. I am going to go to the gym tomorrow. Probably get up around 10 o'clock and go and just have fun. And just work out. Because I was getting ready to go right after work. I looked on the thing. The meter was low. I was like, oh, I'm going to the gym. Changed my clothes. Before I changed my clothes, I ran to the bathroom. And then changed my clothes. I was all excited. And I could not stay out the freaking bathroom. I was like, son of a... But, hey, 5 pounds is 5 pounds. So. But I'm going to the gym tomorrow. And I'm going to try to do some yard work as well. It needs to be done. I'm going to try to push myself, but not to the point where I'll black out. There's some things I need to do. There's a tree back here I need to trim down in the back of my house. I'm pointing like you guys know where the back of my house is. And go from there. Now, that's not the segue I wanted to do. I ended up segueing into this because, get the nauseous stomach. Got to take another drink. I was actually going to segue into autism and Asperger's, the spectrum situation. And what's funny about the spectrum situation and all that is that so many people are, we didn't have this when I was growing up. Like, yes, you did. This stuff has been around forever. It's just now we're better at identifying it than we used to be. And I think that's what a lot of people miss with a lot of these things. We didn't have this issue when we were growing up. Yes, you did. You know, you just thought Timmy was special or Timmy was unique. No, Timmy had autism or Asperger's or something like that. And that's what was wrong with Timmy. They just didn't identify him as that. And ADHD, all these things were around. They just didn't have names. Now they have names, and we can call it that. And then the argument is, it's not in other countries. Yes, it is. Stop saying that crap. It is in other countries. Always has been. The difference between the U.S. and other countries, we track it better than other countries. A lot of other countries really didn't start tracking it till probably the 90s, maybe the early 2000s. So, yeah, it all has to do with tracking, how we track stuff. As software and things get better and more advanced, it becomes easier to track stuff. That's like when it comes to crime. They were talking about crime's higher, crime's higher. I don't know how true that is, to be honest with you. The reason I say that is because we can track it better. If we track crime the way we do now back in the 50s and 60s, we probably would have saw it just as high. But we couldn't track it the way we can track it now. Thanks to the internet, it's a lot easier to catch people doing things. And people are like, we got a lot more crooked cops. I think we have the same amount. It's just now they're being exposed. It's not as easy for them. Well, right now it's easy for them because things that are going on politically. But it's not as easy for them to hide anymore. George Floyd, that cop would have got away with it if camera phones were not a thing. So yeah, it's just easier to track things. That's what I said. I don't know how true it is because they try to make it seem like it's way worse. It's like, I don't think it is. I think it's almost the same. It might be a little higher, but not to the extreme they're saying. Because every time I hear these reports about we tracked it back then, now it's shown it's worse. It's like the tracking methods have changed. Ooh, what was that? I saw something dart past my eye. I wonder if the camera picked that up. But yeah, it's just like you watch this stuff and you're like, what do you mean it's worse? But then when you if you actually dig into the numbers and all that stuff, and also you need to dig into how they're tracking it because they change the methods every now and again to make it more accurate. And as they make it more accurate, the numbers go up. And so that's why it looks worse because they're better at tracking a lot of these things. And so that's why I don't necessarily believe that crime is that dramatically higher. It's just we're better at tracking it. And just like diseases and all that stuff, we're better at tracking it and recognizing diseases, mental diseases and stuff like that. Because back then, if you were just a little bit off, they threw you in an insane asylum and that was that. They didn't care. They didn't bother to treat it. So just think, if they had tracked all the stuff back then, we probably have ways of treating it a lot better. And that's why I like when people talk about, oh, well, these countries don't do vaccinations. Yes, they do. They actually do vaccinations. Most first world countries do vaccinations. And so stop. Stop with the lies. That's like anti-vaxxers always want to use this one report, which was disproven. Turns out the research was not done correctly. But they always want to use that when saying, this is proof, this is proof. Like, it was disproven because the guy did not follow protocol and he didn't actually watch that many people and stuff. There's so much stuff that was disproven on that. It's just like ridiculous. And even on top of that, a lot of them will, when you ask them, oh, what's your source? It's like they won't tell you the source. It's like, well, I'm not doing the homework for you. Then why'd you bring it up? It's like, don't bring stuff up if you're not willing to back it up. And that's not just in anti-vaxxers. I'll say that with political stuff and other discussion for people will not cite their source. It's like, come on, cite your source. And like when I see a lot of people talking about doing debates, it's like most of these influencers who do political stuff have never done a real debate. And it's like, it's obvious they've never done a real debate. And it's just like, yeah, that's not how a real debate goes. You don't just stand there yelling back and forth at each other. It's like, have you not seen a real political debate? It's like, just stop. But yeah, I, it just so much has changed that, autism, Asperger's, all that stuff, ADHD, it's been around forever. It's just we can track it better, and that's the difference. And one of the things I noticed that made me think about this is that show on Netflix, Love on the Spectrum. And one thing I noticed is that a lot of the females on there, and I've seen this in real life as well, have a really high sex drive, whereas the guys don't have a sex drive. Well, I wouldn't say don't have a sex drive, but their sex drive is not important to them. It's like they're more concerned with the relationship aspect. They want a relationship. Now, the girls, a lot of them want relationships, but they want the sex too. And this is just from my experience in real life. I haven't done any research on this, but just from that show and other things I've seen of women who say they have it, and a lot of them have a higher sex drive. And I kind of wonder if that stuff was more hormonal based, that somehow the hormones are causing this, where if a guy's hormones are too low, testosterone can affect a lot of things. So, oh my God, it's like I'm started itching all of a sudden. But like I said, I haven't researched, I haven't really looked into it, just from what I've seen. It's like, so I kind of wonder if the guys have lower testosterone and the girls have would be higher estrogen. Does higher estrogen make them have a higher sex drive? But yeah, it's some kind of hormonal imbalance. And this is how it works. Because that's like when a woman versus a guy being paralyzed from the waist down, I've noticed this is different. Now, I'm not saying it's for all guys and all women, but for guys whose stuff stops working, their sex drive drops. Versus women whose stuff stops working, it's like their sex drive goes up. And I always thought that was interesting. And that's just from me, real world things I've seen, and where it just seems like it's interesting, like the opposite effects. And I just like, well, that's interesting. It's because like in that Love on the Spectrum, a lot of the females, they wanted the relationship, but they thought they get the relationship and they get the sex. But then the guys are like, oh, no. The guys don't want to have sex. It's like, they want the relationship first. They want to establish that it's a good relationship and they're going to move forward. Because I think the guys are looking for long term and the girls are looking for a relationship, which is different. But yeah. And then there was one girl. Now, I don't watch it. I just happen to, again, shits and gigs. James watches it. And he was talking about one girl, I guess, kept getting called ugly. I was like, she's not ugly. But the guy just wasn't feeling her, so he was being blunt with her. But yeah, I always thought that was interesting that it just, like, autism affects male and females differently, and Asperger's, all that stuff. It affects, even ADHD, it affects boys and girls differently. But TV and movies will make you think it affects them both the same. It's like, nope, it does not affect them the same. It's different. And I just think it interesting how TV will try to say everyone gets affected the same by this. No, they don't. And a lot of people are tired of the stereotype of it as well, getting to represent it. And because there are different aspects of it. Well, some people are more intelligent and some people are not really more intelligent. There are those who aren't more intelligent. They could be extremely smart about one thing and that's it. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting with that from what I've seen. But yeah, there was something else, but I think that'll do it. Because I am not being able to breathe again. I wonder if this is microphone. It's been a while since I've cleaned this. I think I'll clean it and see if that fixes it. Maybe something's on it. But don't forget to like and subscribe. And everyone take care. Later.